Hello students, so in this video we are going to discuss about kingdom Protista. Kingdom Protista includes all eukaryotes that are not animals, plant or fungi. Kingdom Protista is very diverse. It consists of both single-celled and multicellular organisms. What is Protista? Protista are simple eukaryotic organisms that are neither plants nor animal or fungi. Protists are unicellular in nature but can also be found as a colony of cells. Most protists live in water, damp terrestrial environment or even as parasites. The term protista is derived from the Greek word protistos, meaning the very first, that is the prime. These organisms are usually unicellular and the cell of these organisms contain a nucleus which is bound to the organelle. Some of them even possess structures that aid locomotions like flagella or cilia. There you can see the flagella in Euglena organism and in cilia in bacteria. Characteristic of protist. Like all other eukaryotes, protists have a nucleus containing their DNA. They also have other membrane-bound organelles such as mitochondria and endoplasmic reticulum too. Most protists are single-celled. What is the unique feature about this protist? Protists vary greatly in organization. While many protists are capable of motility primarily by means of flagella, cilia or pseudopodia. So pseudopodia where you can see in amoeba. Okay. Others may be non-motile for most or part of the life cycle. What are the general characteristics of protist? All eukaryotes that cannot be classified as a plant, animal or fungus. They have a nucleus and membrane-bound organelles. Some are autotrophic, some are heterotrophic. Some are multicellular, most are unicellular. So these are the special features about protist. So there are three kinds of protist. One is animal-like, plant-like, fungus-like. So you please note down the word animal-like, plant-like, fungus-like. Okay. So animal-like it consumes food, plant-like it makes their own food, fungus-like it can able to decompose it. So these are the ability of the protists where we included in this kingdom. First we will proceed with animal-like protist. Animal-like protists called protozoans meaning the first animal. So example will be Zooflagellates, sarcodines, ciliates, sporozoans. Protozoans. These are animal-like protists that consume their food, that is heterotroph of mode of nutrition. So it exhibits a characteristic feature of animal. It is a unicellular. It is characterized by mode of locomotion. So how they can move? With the help of cilia, flagella and pseudopod. Next one is zooflagellates. So characteristic of zooflagellates is moved by flagella. So there will be like one or more flagella will be present, that is one or two. So reproduction is mostly asexual by mitosis. Some sexual reproduction also occurs by the produced gametes when they fuse. What is the role and function of the zooflagellates? Mostly free swimming. Some are parasites. So for example, trypanosoma causes African sleeping sickness. Giardia causes diarrhea. Termites have a zooflagellate living inside them that helps them digest wood. Ciliates. Characteristic. Use cilia for movement and feeding. Have a macronucleus, that is an active nucleus which is present inside this, and micronucleus which have the reserved copy. So next we move on to the reproduction. Asexually by mitosis, can exchange material through conjugation through. So that is, so example will be the paramecium. So the role and function, it is a free living organism. Sporozoans. So the character features, it does not move on their own. So the reproduction type, a complex reproduction with two phases, asexual and sexual phase inside two different organisms. It needs to complete its own life cycles, for it needed two O's to complete their life cycles. So roles and function, parasitic. So the malaria is caused by the sporozoan plasmodium. So the malaria, the carrier will be the female Anopheles mosquito, but the original cause for the malarial disease is plasmodium. Next we move on to plants like protist. So plant like algae. So here we were distributing, and where we were concluding it with the unicellular and multicellular, and we were segregating both. In the unicellular, it includes Euglenoids, Chrysophytes, Basilarophyta, Phyrophyta. Whereas Basilarophyta, the common term will be diatoms. Phyrophyta, the commonly we will call that as a Dianoflagellates. Whereas in multicellular, Rhodophyta, Phaeophyta and Chlorophyta. Unicellular algae. Autotrophic, mode of nutrition. It captures sunlight with chlorophyll and other accessory pigments to make food. Base of many aquatic food chain. So example will be the phytoplankton, where it has the ability to floating photosynthetic organisms. Euglenoids, example will be the Euglena. So it has a two flagella and no cell wall. Reproduction asexually by mitosis. So the role and function of Euglenoids, it is a free swimming, can absorb material for food, recycling sewage, can lead to algal blooms, choking waters of nutrients. So here you can see the structure of Euglena. So this is the structure of Euglena, where you can see the flagellum. Okay. Next we discuss about Chrysophyta. The characteristic feature of Chrysophyta are the cell wall. Sometimes it has a pectin. It is a gold colored chloroplast. So the colored pigment will be the gold. Reproduction. So only we will call this is a golden algae. Reproduction shows asexually and sexually mode of reproduction. So the role and function, it is a free floating and commonly called as golden algae. Next is diatoms. So the characteristic features, it secretes thin cell walls of silica, main component of a glass, and the reproduction is asexually and sexually, where the role of function, it is a free floating or it live in soil. So here you can see the red algae. Fungus like slime molds and water molds will be the example for fungus like. Heterotrophic, using external digestion to break down dead and decaying organic matter. So this will be the special features about the fungus. Slime mold. It is cellular or acellular, where the mosses with several nucleus can seen. It is unicellular but can gather and act as a multicellular. Okay, when it is in a colony, it shows like a multicellular. The reproduction part will be the sexually mode of reproduction. Function, forest floor or composting, recycle organic. So these all about the kingdom Protista. Thank you students.